And I'm building an intuitive UI that, again, helps remove some of that cognitive load, and then using AI on the back end to accomplish those goals. Thanks for watching. Anybody who's watching here, the intention is to simplify really complex things for people with ADHD, right? So the way that I approach this specific feature here, what is the type of tool that I would need to be able to think through how to architect, quote unquote, my first YouTube video? I've created a tool that will take away some of that executive function, reduce some of the cognitive load required to do that task and give you a really solid infrastructure to build on. Let's say that I'm creating a video about miso soup. I can put that into the app here, let it process. In this case, I didn't answer the questions down below, but if you want to get really, really granular about what you're trying to create, you can add more to the prompt there. And I'm building an intuitive UI that, again, helps remove some of that cognitive load, and then using AI on the back end to accomplish those goals, right? So in this case, I've got my first tab here for the storyboard. I've got my different segments that I can drag around. And if I click edit here, I can go in, change the title, change the goal, change the talking points. Of course, the AI filled in those talking points for me. I can, specify if I want it more professional, more jokes, whatever else, obviously anything that the AI is capable of. And then other aspects such as B-roll, tags, right, whatever else. Based on all of those aspects that I just showed, I now see kind of the summary page for each of them, right? So I know these are all the pieces of B-roll that I need to go film, right? These are all the different pieces of on-screen text, overlays, audio effects, all of those things, again, tied to what's coming from the storyboard tab there. All right, and I got my script. I've got the intro here, understanding miso, making dashi, all of the different ingredients across that video. And I can edit each of these segments here as well if I want to change things or maybe add a call to action, whatever the scenario is. Okay, coming over here to metadata, right? It's got the title for the video. It's got the description right here. It's got the alternative title, ideas for the thumbnail, the pinned comment, tags and keywords, right? Removing all of those things that I would have to generate manually and giving me a first draft of them, right? So that I'm not having to try to think through all of this all at once. And there's also a checklist. So this is really cool as well, right? Like a big thing that people with ADHD struggle with is turning that larger goal that they have into a plan. And that's what this does, right? All of this based on that single miso soup prompt. I've also got the corresponding checklist based on everything that we decided earlier, right? So research, investigation, fact checking, creating the shot list, the ingredients, charging your batteries, right? Lighting, sound, all of these different things that would be really taxing, especially for someone who's never created a YouTube video before. It's got all of that here. And the cool thing again is that I can edit these, and if I want to add sesame seeds as well, I can add that in here. The way that this site is set up, everything is saved locally. I can download this content from this page as a zip file or copy individual pieces here. And the other really cool thing about this is the chat at the bottom. Typically, the way that you would, maybe script out a YouTube video, you would go to ChatGPT and you would get the script. And then you would say, okay, like now we have the script, go and build a checklist for me, right? Of all the different things that I would need to do. And then go and build this, go and build that, right? It's variable, right? Because it's doing all of those things individually. And it may not be highly tailored to the context that you prefer. And so that's why this is so useful, because I've got all of that context right there. I've got all of it, quote unquote, saved to the AI's brain. And so if I ask it, evaluate the script for retention, right? It's got all of that context right there. And again, based on everything that we have up above here, It's able to give me a really grounded response and very specific to the tool itself. Now, I don't currently have the feature right now to have the AI update the existing content from this chat, but I do have that option up above. I can show that in a second as soon as this finishes. But basically, you're able to give the AI prompts that reflect across that entire page. Right here, it's evaluating the script that we've got, showing the strengths for retention, different aspects here, right? And of course, this isn't just retention. I can ask pretty much anything that I would ask a chatbot. And another really cool thing that I've built into my UI here is having the bot actively call out its assumptions, right? So this is useful for YouTube, but I'm thinking about this more generally. If you use chatbots or ChatGPT, AI agents a lot of times they'll make assumptions and they'll be very unclear with you. They won't let you know what assumptions they're making. And so there's that disconnect. This is intended to prevent that, right? So I've got the AI actively call out the assumptions that it's making. It's actively calling out potential risks and inaccuracies, and it's actively calling out decision points for the user as far as how to move forward. And in this case, because it's grounded on this content from this app, it's got that nice high confidence score. Whereas if I asked it a more general question, it wouldn't be that high. The UI here is dynamic based on the context that the AI has received versus based on it responding based on general knowledge. Okay, so now I want to just quickly show the modification process. So in addition to those individual options to edit at the bottom, I might say here that instead of a video about miso, I want this to be about white miso versus red miso. And I might want to tailor this, right? So, I've got my questionnaire here. All of this context is going to the AI as it's processing this. I might say that I want this video for personal. We're going to say long form. And I'm planning on adding more questions to this as well to be more specific. I can specify my target audience, so I can say Americans with low knowledge of Asian food, et cetera, right? And I can go through all the different options here, content strategy, call to action, all of this stuff that I've got so far. Again, this is sending the answers that I enter here to the AI instead of me having to go back and forth with ChatGPT manually. And then by the time it understands what I'm trying to do, we're past the context window and it starts to forget again. I've got those answers here. I'm going to say propose update. And instead of the AI automatically making those changes right away, the way that I've set it up is it'll propose changes. So I, as the user, I can go through, I have the final authority. I might say, hey, I like the way that you did this. I didn't like the way that you did that, right? And I can go through and edit each of those things before it submits. Specifying, miso matters, right? As opposed to the more general original title there. Now it's more focused on choosing the right miso. It's a little bit cheesy here for the for the script, but again, those are things that you can specify. You can say if you want it to be more casual or more formal or whatever else, right? It's AI, so it's very flexible there. But again, the important part here is that we can see that it's focused on the updated version of what I'm trying to accomplish here. And again, I can modify here. So if I don't like miso matters, I can choose, red versus white miso. And when I approve that, it's going to update the UI here and update all of this context to include, right now we see the checklist has been updated. It's talking about the different miso types. It's showing visuals for the different miso types. I'm sure if we go to the B-roll here, it'll probably have red versus white and all of that. Yep, close up with the different types of miso, different soup bowls, white miso, dark red miso, right? Again, tailoring everything based on what you provide as the end user. That's kind of the general overview of the main app that I've created. That's available under this Creative Planner page, but I've also created a few other pages in a similar manner, right? So I'll quickly go to the Business Planner here. In this one, I might say that I'd like to start a local business. And if I'm general here, I'm not specific, it'll still go through its process, right? So obviously with that last one, I was very, very precise about what I wanted. But if maybe I don't know what type of business I want to start, or going back to the YouTube example, maybe I don't know what type of YouTube video I want to create, I can still create that more generally, get that context, start to kind of wrap my head around it, and then rerun it and say, for instance, change this to a D2C business, right? Or anything, as specific as you want to get there. And then just like the YouTube page, I've got the plan here. Okay, there it just came up, it's got the different points here. Of course, this is using similar fields, but more focused on the business use case, overview of the D2C, analyzing the target market, right? Like all of these things that I need to do as part of my process. When I come back here, it's got my executive summary, it's got my market analysis, the things that I'd like to do there as part of that. And then again, all of this feeds into the checklist tab that has also been updated. And I don't think I mentioned this on the YouTube page, but I've got this due date function where if I want to choose, hey, maybe this is due tomorrow, maybe the other task is due the day after, I can customize all of that. This is all content that you've got locally. It's a gift and a curse, right? Because there's no backup on the server, but at the same time, it's a little bit more private and you're using your local browser storage, right? And you can export that from this page or from this tab at any time. A couple other cool things on the website here. I've got a similar thing for writing, planning out writing. I've got this life planner here with a bunch of different plan types, so I can create a custom plan and just clarify what I want above. Event planning, wedding, travel itinerary, right? I just went through a bunch of different things that I could think of. I think this meal planning one is kind of cool. I guess we can quickly demo that. If I say that I'm a keto pescatarian, right? My dietary restrictions are, a little bit more strict than the average person. Let's see what it can come up with here. Okay, so it's got my plan for Monday. Here's a dish for Monday. What I've got here, I've got my dishes for the other days as well. If it's not obvious at this point, right, this is definitely a work in progress. There's a lot of cool ideas that I have to integrate here. But again, just kind of wrapping up, the focus is on helping reduce the cognitive load associated with the blank, the quote unquote blank canvas of a chatbot interface. And for people who are less familiar with that, for whom it's less intuitive, those people are able to hit the ground running even without the advanced techniques that I personally learned by using these tools extensively. That's what the site is focused on. Definitely feel free to check it out. AIDemo.tech. I'll have the link in the description. I think that's about it. Definitely feel free to comment if you've got any feedback, any cool ideas, any blockers. If you have ADHD, if this is something that you think would be helpful, open to hear anyone's thoughts. So I think that's it. Thanks a lot, everybody. Subscribe. I'm supposed to say that. Please subscribe. Okay, thank you.